Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Anissa Usna Soleha, but people call me Nana. I'm a student of English Department, Darmandalas University. Well, in this occasion, I want to tell you about the review of the film. The title is Encanto. Encanto was directed by George Paz and Byron Howard, and the producer is Evie Merlino and Sir Spanner. Encanto is an American computer-animated fantasy musical film by Walt Disney Animation Studio. The animated film Encanto is set in Colombia, while the magical town and home where Mirabel and her family live are fictional and they are inspired by a real location in Colombia. The cast of this film is 1. Stephanie Beatriz as Mirabel, 2. Olga Merdiz as Alma, 3. Carolina Galtan as Peppa, 4. Mauro Castillo as Felix, 5. John Leguizamo as Bruno, 6. Angel Speda as Julieta, 7. Wilmer Valderrama as Agustin, 8. Edessa as Dolores, 9. Renzi Feliz as Camilo, 10. Jessica Jerome as Luisa, 11. Diane Guerrero is Isabella, and 12. Graphic Habit Conyers as Antonio. Synopsis of the film Encanto. The story of Encanto tells the story of a magical family known as the Madrigals. They live in a house in a town called Encanto, located in the mountains of Colombia. All members of this family have special abilities, starting from Peppa Madrigal, who can change the weather depending on the moon, Bruno Madrigal, who can predict the future, Julieta Madrigal, who can cure diseases from the food and she makes, Camilo Madrigal, who can transform into another person, Dolores Madrigal, who can hear what people are talking about, Isabella Madrigal, who can grow flowers, Luisa Madrigal, who has a super strong powers, and Antonio Madrigal able to communicate with animals. However, there is one family member who has no magical ability at all. She is Mirabel Madrigal. Until one day, Mirabel realized that magical that became her family's ability was being turned. He becomes the only one who could save his family from the disaster. But before she can save her family, Mirabel must repair the family bonds that have been started because of her grandmother's selfishness. The beginning of film is showing a little girl named Mirabel who is being taught by her grandmother about their ancestor who get gifts or miracles, all of which are obtained from their internally burning candles. Back when her grandmother was young, she had a husband, and they were forced to find a new place to live because tourists were always after them. But her husband despaired and turned into a candle that changed the grandmother's life to find a safe place and even create a house to live with her children. Then, year after year changed, the children grew up and got the gift to help people. That night, Mirabel will get one to her gift from the Madrigal family. She can wait to see what her gifts are like. But, in the end, he got none. Until Mirabel grew up, she was still very happy to be part of the Madrigal family, even though she did not have special powers. Until one day, the Madrigal family were getting ready to have a party, and it's tradition because Antonio would get his bone. But the grandmother told Mirabel not to do anything in the event because it would make things worse. Then, she accidentally saw one of the tiles broken and also Mirabel saw the whole house crack and down to the internal candle. Then, she immediately informed everyone who was partying, but no one listened to her, and when she returned to the place, she saw no cracks there, and made his grandmother very angry with Mirabel and chose to continue the party. And one day, Mirabel entered the uncle's room, which had not been opened for a long time because his uncle had disappeared for a long time, namely Bruno, because Bruno would see prediction of the futures. Mirabel tried to climb the cliff, but at the end of the stairs, the road was cut off. So she tried to jump using a rope. Mirabel entered the room, which looked very ancient, but the door was suddenly locked, and she saw some glass shard in the sand that glowed green. And Mirabel tried to put the broken glass together, and how surprised she was to see his face until the building collapses and she picks up the shard of the glass and gets out of there. Knowing this makes Mirabel even more cautious about what the future will hold for her behavior. She put together all the broken glass and she showed the picture there and how started. She wondered why she was in Bruno's future prophecy. Then she showed the mice carrying the broken glass to the back of the painting, and Mirabel was trying to get rid of the painting, and he was surprised to see there is a secret place behind the painting. Mirabel also accidentally showed Uncle Bruno there, and she tried to chase him and accidentally fell, and Bruno tried to help her. Mirabel was surprised because his uncle did not run away from the house but only hid in the shadows of his house. And Mirabel tries to play with her uncle to know the future truth that can destroy their home. Bruno didn't know it more clearly because maybe Mirabel didn't destroy the house. So Bruno told Mirabel not to believe it, but Mirabel curiously told Bruno to look into the future prediction future. At the first, Bruno refused, but came Antonio, who heard their conversation through his animal, and Antonio wanted to help them to solve the problem. Bruno begins a ritual to see the future. Then the clouds turn dark, the wind grows stronger, and the sand surrounded them. And Mirabel saw a future that was still the same, and accidentally she saw a butterfly, and Bruno saw Mirabel cuddling with his sister Isabella. It turned out that to realize Mirabel's course, she just needed to hug his sister. And Mirabel entered Isabella's room and they hugged each other, making the cracks in the house begin to disappear. After that, his grandmother came to scold them both for the mess they made. Mirabel also tries to convince her grandmother that she is trying to save her family, but her grandmother doesn't care about it, and instead scolds Mirabel even more because all the action Mirabel has done have gotten all her family members into trouble. Mirabel's relationship with his grandmother grew further and further, and finally the cracks happen again, getting worse and destroying their house. All the family members try to save the internal candle, but the internal candle has died, and the Madrigal family is smitten by it. But suddenly Mirabel disappeared from there and made everyone worried. The next day, the Madrigal family was still looking for Mirabel's whereabouts. Then the grandmother came to see Mirabel sat on the riverbank. Then Mirabel apologized for what happened to them, and her grandmother tried to confront Mirabel by telling her past, namely when she was young and met her husband, and they were close to each other and love grew, until finally she married and had 3 twins. But she and her husband are chased by criminals, and her husband sacrifices himself until the internal candle appears. For years, their family was protected by a gift that made her always afraid of losing the race of his family. Because of his fear, its law destroyed his relationship with his family. Now, she realized that the mess didn't come from Mirabel but from himself. Mirabel also knows that all this time her grandmother has been crying a big burden alone. Mirabel also wants to help bear the burden together like the others. Mirabel and her grandmother can still fix all that until the relationship is close again. Bruno also came there to pick them up and also made Grandma happy because she could see Bruno back. They went home together and was created by the family. Mirabel also tries to convince his family that without the gift of his family will still be together. Then together they went back to building their house, and a village came who wanted to help build the Madrigal family's house. The residents are happy to help because the Madrigal family has helped them a lot. The Madrigal family's house was finished and they told Mirabel to fix the doorknob for them. When the doorknob was put on their house, immediately returned to its original stage. And the film ends when all the Madrigal family powers have returned and they can enjoy their days as they wish. And the Madrigal family took a photo together as a memento. Then the film ends. The conclusion that we can get from these films are 1. We should be proud of ourselves. Even though we are different from others, we should not be second ashamed because being different from others does not make us a weak person. For internal strength is current kidness. 2. Children have the right to an opinion.
What really stands out about the moral value of the animated film Encanto is that children also have the right to voice their opinions. Even though it is contrary to the opinion of parents, it does not mean that the children's opinion must always be denied but give understanding. Because in the end, it is the child who always gets the mind over time. 3. Their autonomy mistake. There is no perfect human. There is nothing wrong with admitting mistakes because humans will not escape from mistakes, be it parents to their children or children to their parents. And my opinions about this film is Encanto can be watched by all age because it is a film about family and this has enough humor, colorful visual, charming characters, and candy tones to captivate audience of all age. Okay, I think that's all what I can tell you in this video. Thank you for your watching. Thank you for your attention and participation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.